Ah yes, there's nothing like those sweet tunes of Mega Man 2 blaring through your Game Boy speakers. Some have gone on record stating these mythical melodies have caused the user spontaneous bouts of earbleed, while others have reported complete ruptures of the drum entirely. For me personally, they caused an uncontrollable urge to head bob over and over in succession for the entirety of my playthrough. Hey listen, I don't care what anyone says, I love the distinct sound of this game. So, while you caught me in the moment here, I guess we should take a look at the infamous Rockman World 2, or Mega Man 2 for the Game Boy, the first in a handheld series of Mega Man titles I owned growing up. Yep, this was my very first crack at a portable Mega Man on the go, so I sorta have a bit more nostalgia for this one here. I don't know what's worse, the fact that I have such a strong appreciation for this, or that KJ Inafune considers this his least favorite of the handheld entries. Hey, come on now, I thought for sure that would be Challenger from the future. I mean, I can't find a single mention of it anywhere inside this massive encyclopedia on our Blue Bomber. Nevertheless, this particular entry has some of the most interesting lore tied to it, especially the part about the little green imposter whom claims to be a future Mega Man from an unspecified time. Wait, you mean to tell me this professional pogo rider is actually Mega Man? Well, before we pick this game apart, I think it's only fair to mention that this specific entry was developed by Thinking Rabbit. Well, apparently if you thought they were going to make the Game Boy equivalent of Mega Man 2, think again. You know what they made prior? Yeah, so again, someone should have did their research before paying someone else to do the job. Wait, what happened to Minaguchi Company? Well, be careful Capcom, the grass isn't always greener on the other end. Now, as we proceed forward, I wanted to just clarify here, this review along with the remainder of the Rockman World reviews will be done using that wonderful DX palette, brought to you by some exceptional fans across the Mega Man community whom did a fantastic job painting this picture for us today, keeping the visuals faithful to the source material. To go along with this new offering, we have a beautiful arrangement of the original OST, allowing you to toggle between the two to create a pleasant journey for your latest stay. I get it, the original is an acquired taste, making this a fantastic alternative. However, for this review, we are going to be listening to the original tracks, so I'll try to keep the volume to a minimal for you all. So, it's time to get a little more insight on today's story, so we can smack this bootleg bot back to his own timeline as we now embark on the storied events of Rockman World 2. So, what's the deal with this mean green doppelganger, and how exactly did our Blue Bomber end up colliding with this challenger from the future? Well, in order to figure that out, I gotta compare my notes here for a moment. According to the North American Manual, this galactic stunt rider has traveled approximately 37,426 years from the future thanks to the help of, well, you guessed it, Dr. Wily, to put an end to our Blue Boy once and for all. How the hell did Wily manage to pull that off? I mean, I get that dude specializes in robotics, plus he's been dumping funding into space research for some time now, which has netted him a pretty sweet space colony. But from the looks of his robot masters, it doesn't feel like he has the current technological capabilities to get there just yet. Well, what Wily left out of the equation was he didn't need to come up with one himself. Yep, that's right, stealing the blueprint off the backs of the good people over at the Space Research Laboratory, better known to us US players as the Kronos Institute, where a breakthrough in scientific research has just occurred. This group of young scientists had managed to develop their first fully functioning time machine, dubbed the Time Skimmer. With this prototype now on display, it makes the perfect framework for Wily's own personal DeLorean, allowing him to travel to the distant future, where Wily had managed to reform from his evil ways, calling a truce with Dr. Light and Company, and allowing Mega Man the opportunity to settle back into his role as Dr. Light's lab assistant. However, upon arrival, Wily would capitalize on this opportunity by botnapping our defenseless hero and convincing his future self to aid in a complete rebuild of our Blue Bomber, transforming him into the cool and calculated time traveler that would become known across the galaxies as Quint. So, his name's Quint, huh? Wait just a damn minute. I thought this dude was red. Yeah, no shit. Check him out right here on the box. Bamboozled again, huh? Son of a bitch. Well, I'm gonna assume I wasn't the only one as a kid. I mean, we did grow up playing this in black and white. Maybe that lovely green Game Boy tint just turned him green over time. Or perhaps Stink Rabbit got their source material mixed up with our Blue Bomber's portrayal across the Captain N series. I'm gonna lean on the idea that his green color scheme was a tribute to the series. Who knows, maybe the color was changed here stateside to prevent any sort of confusion. I'd love for that to be the case. I think it'd be a sweet little nod. However, I can't get over the pogo stick though. The Sakugane is essentially a futuristic jackhammer, with a few extra bells and whistles attached to it. We know they're used to break up large foundations composed of various earthly sediment, so perhaps a play off the Rockman theme. Still, it just looks creepy to all hell, especially with those eyes staring back. Why would it be alive though? Well, we know our green man is a modified Rockman, so where would he get the parts to make this? No, I don't want to think about that. I just can't. That's way too dark, dude. Look, I believe it's time to refocus our attention now, as we look to head back to the past to correct these unforeseen future events. So, where to head out to first here? How about the old crash site? A personal favorite of mine, that's the perfect obstacle course to knock some of the old ring rust off. Where Rockman World 1 hits you with a high degree of blindsided bullshit, World 2 sorta takes the edge off, just enough throughout to make each stage a quick and easy playthrough, which should take you no more than a few hours to run through. There's plenty of E-tanks scattered about to keep you in the game, allowing you to platform with ease, that way your emotions won't get the best of you. It's a nice change of pace opposed to the typical afternoon routine filled with the unexpected. It's what Mega Man would probably look like if the series didn't pride itself on the challenge. A challenge that can often feel manufactured. You know exactly what I'm referring to. Those oh so familiar, unapologetic pitfalls. Now, that's not saying this series isn't deserving of its flowers. However, with all those creative minds at Capcom, you can't tell me they didn't do their fair share of trolling. Unfortunately for this batch of bolts, you're battle tested, and the moment you step into the ring with these killers, they'll get worked over from the very start, as if they're boxing with God. With a brand new development team in place, their lack of experience when it pertains to the classic formula absolutely shows here, and that's illustrated through its far more grounded level design. There's still some challenging sequences along the way, but they're few and far between, and it feels the focus here was on making this more widely accessible to the casual audience, which could easily turn off the hardcore fan. Some stages across this journey will require you to take those leaps of faith. You still may experience those knee-jerking responses, but they feel more like an innate response from those prior episodes as opposed to the sheer fear of committing to an action here. For the experienced player, this probably feels like a victory lap, as if you're an NES whiz going full savage on them. Maybe even deciding to bust out the Power Glove for a full flex, because at times you do just that. So remember, it still takes two to tango in this deadly dance of mechanical combat, firing those shots off when good and ready, looking to reset this dude's movesets like you're the creator of this wicked machine world. Listen, you give me a pint-sized release of Mega Man 2 with the slide mechanic from Mega Man 3, and I couldn't ask for a better time. I love a good challenge, don't get me wrong, but I also enjoy a good time as well, especially a creative one, filled with remixed throwbacks at that. And if that compromises the challenge, well, I don't know what to tell you, other than that's my preference. I play Mega Man games for more than the bragging rights. As I've mentioned in prior reviews, I'm not looking to become the winner of the Grand Masters tournament, as if I could even pull off such a feat. That's like saying you only play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the in-ring action. Pretty sure the cast of characters and zany moments will stick with you far longer. Well, except for the day you finally knock out Tyson. And much like your first run-in with your favorite robot masters here, you're gonna reminisce on the very first time you laid eyes on their quirky designs, as you both go at it, anticipating each other's attacks. Look, I love this series, and the Robot Masters of Mega Man 1 are among some of my absolute favorite designs across the entirety of the series. Simple, yet iconic all the same. However, I find myself playing Mega Man 6 far more due to the well-refined mechanics that makes it feel like a speedrunner's dream. Personally, this title just needed some simple tuning to give it that extra edge it needed. Maybe a longer gap here, or a few more enemies or obstacles there. Maybe even one of those sweet multi-tiered enemies that stroll in on those wacky rides, forcing you to plan your approach. But hey, at least here, I still have a new strategy when tackling Airman's tiny tornadoes, striking when you're good and ready. Only now, you find that you can slide underneath him for a surprise attack, adding some additional fun to the mix. And that's exactly the key ingredient here for me, the fun factor. Hey, if you got a problem with that, then I encourage you to use this password I got here for you. It will take you to those Doc Robot fights from Mega Man 3. Now, let's remove the slide here and see how that goes for you. With the remainder of Wily's Mega Man 2 robots getting sent to the scrapyard, our hero will find his way back to the Old Man's Skull Fortress. He's currently holding an open house, so you're welcomed in with open arms. Right off the bat you realize there's no obstacles surrounding you, so you know he's up to no good. Well, that warm welcome quickly turns room temperature as we discover 4 more of those lovely transport capsules residing deep inside the fortress, which will teleport you around the outskirts of the city to engage in the latest robot craze, which sends you on another wild goose chase to track them down. The smooth sailing throughout this journey somewhat builds an extra layer of confidence you don't get very often in this series, especially in Mega Man 3. These are a blast to explore, and the mix-up of stages from the 2 mainline entries spice things up enough to keep my attention. Whether it be a nostalgic trip or not, I enjoyed coasting through this game, and I try to make it a habit at least once every calendar year, the same way I would many of my favorites across the NES. More classic Mega Man is never a bad thing, and something that relatively takes up a short amount of time while maximizing those good feels. Yeah, it's easy to best this version of Needleman in comparison to his wild movement patterns in 8-bit form, yet on a full tank here, it's also satisfying just emptying an entire clip from your Buster Cannon to take him out with ease. Doubling back the Mega Man 2 soundtrack real quick, it should be noted that the high-pitched noise across each track was a minor programming flaw, which required a few adjustments in post-production. By lowering the pitch just a bit, you'll notice a drastic difference in quality, which makes for a far richer sound that will bring things into perspective a bit more for a far more dynamic package. After securing a speedy victory over the remaining Robot Masters, an entrance opens beneath Wily's fortress, where our blue bomber proceeds to drop down into. It's at that moment our hero is greeted by this new impersonator, whom has been lurking in the shadows anticipating this very moment, now capitalizing on these events. Quint will call forth his Sakagane, looking to carve out his own destiny at the expense of our hero. As the fight wages forth, he will bounce throughout the chamber, carving the floor out surrounding you, which causes large chunks of its foundation to spin towards you. Quint isn't exactly doing himself any favors here, becoming quite the sitting duck, especially in a chamber with little to no decor to shield himself. I mean, as a future Mega Man, you would think he would come to this gunfight a little more prepared. Perhaps the Wily of tomorrow just didn't have that same killer edge the present one does, especially when building this redesign. If you can manage to avoid the flying debris and the occasional bunny hop, this poor bloke won't stand a chance, and after getting torched by the superior robot, he'll have no choice but to hand over that sweet ride of his. Nothing but good memories, my little green homie. Keep your head up, you never know what the future holds for you. With plans going south for Wily, he switches to Plan B, which translates to time to get the hell out of Dodge, as he makes his escape to his brand new luxury space cruiser. With a few modifications to his faithful canine companion, our hero will manage to make his way on board. This interstellar spacecraft appears to be modified with the technological capabilities of the Time Skimmer, at least if the imagery on board is any indication. Whatever the case may be, I'm gonna ignore the small details. If anything, it just gives me a reason to pogo my way around this bitch. Unfortunately, it's my only opportunity to do so. It's like the moment you get the Karibo boot in Mario 3 and try to hold on to it long enough to enjoy it. Wily's Space Fortress is essentially a whirlwind of themes and gimmicks you've overcome throughout your journey, only it suits this ship nicely, being we're floating across the vast depths of the galaxy. Well, more like a galaxy that got sucked into a black hole, because the design itself is trippy to all hell, with little to no rhyme or reason for the shit that's popping off here. Clocks can be found floating across the skies, along with some crazy orbs that looks like the beginning of an event Wily wasn't prepared for. After traveling across this massive time machine that defies the laws of space and platforming design itself, you locate Wily deep inside the center of this wild Voyager. He looks to be good and ready to return to the future, but even more so, has prepared himself for a certain someone who may put a temporary halt to this. Wily's itching to stretch the legs of his latest contraption to prevent his own Judgment Day. What we have here is the Wily Machine 2, which now towers over our hero as it proceeds to lunge forth, hurling an oversized barrel of blast your way to catch you off guard. Once avoided, the talons attached to the bottom of this beast will tear across the floorboards below to cut your legs out from beneath you. This offense will be repeated in a vicious cycle till one of you falls, and the moment they do, the Doctor will proceed to change course, detaching his capsule from the lower half of his creation as he jets off, only to eventually find he will return in time with the Mark II, an upgraded model with a few extra goodies and some new wheels which allows him to maneuver with ease to light you up. However, these modifications make for a much more grounded Wily battle, and outside the added mix-up from his energy orbs, the added flare won't give him much of an advantage. Just dodge these to your best ability and he'll regroup once more, going back to the old drawing board for one more go at our hero, now returning with guns blazing as the final evolution of this infernal machine stands before you in all its glory. Wily's own personal pint-sized Dragon Zord, which takes things to the next level as it rains down a series of hellfire from a single tail strike. You may find an opening to sneak through, but Wily will continue to mount the pressure, sending a homing missile speeding towards you while he charges up for another strike. As Wily's pet dragon continues to rampage through the chamber, go on the offense, keeping your composure between each wave of strikes, going toe-to-toe with the big brute till you reach down deep one final time to break through the belly of the beast, showing this mechanical nightmare who the real king of the monsters truly is, as he erupts in a fiery blast which sends Wily's station offline for an emergency evacuation. As the Mad Doctor looks to flee the scene, Mega Man follows suit shortly after, locking eyes with Wily, whom is just up ahead, frantically looking to get his escape pod to now hold steady. With the opportunity presented, Mega Man doesn't hesitate to use his copy ability to launch one of those sweet little heat seekers from Wily's pet dino, spiraling towards the good Doctor as it proceeds to erupt right up his backside to send him packing in style for some well-earned payback. With Wily's plans now going up in smoke, we seal the deal today, as our hero can now set his coordinates back to Earth as he reports to Dr. Light to share the news with the rest of the family. Although our hero witnessed the end of Wily here today, there's still many more unresolved questions that loom over our hero. What ramifications did space travel have on our universe? Could this have led to a multiverse of sorts? And if so, which Wily did we encounter here today? Does another madman reside in the future, or perhaps the past? Who knows? That's why we celebrate these victories. You gotta live for today. Besides, we got plenty of time to theorize, and you guys know by now, I'll be whipping up some wild ideas for next week's video, because we've only managed to scratch the surface of this story, and I hope by sharing a few good memories with you all here today, maybe, just maybe, it passes on a new perspective for this one right here, a personal favorite adventure of mine that I had the privilege to share with you all today. So be sure to express your take here and now, because we look to the future for the next journey that lies ahead, just across the galaxy, deep inside this brand new realm of our favorite blue bomber. Till then, Brobots, same rockin' time, same rockin' channel.